Hello, my name's Norrms and I'm the founder of the Global Purple Angel Dementia Awareness Campaign. I've been asked today to do a presentation for you by Kenny Hornblower for you guys at Larchfield House at Maidenhead. I am so sorry I can't come and see you and speak to you in person, so I hope this will help and I hope this will do. But because, as you'll find out, because of my elders, I'm unable to travel so far these days. So I've started to do the presentations via video, which saves time and trouble, and you lot making me lots of coffee and stuff like that. So anyway, I'd just like to say hello and thank you for asking, and hopefully you'll enjoy this. Please contact me if you do. I was diagnosed with dementia 10 years ago now. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 10 years ago, and then I was told 6 years later that I didn't have Alzheimer's. Well, brilliant. Only to be told that I'd been misdiagnosed, and I actually had Lewy bodies because of the symptoms that were showing themselves. I do believe that it's so important to make sure we get the right diagnosis to treat the right type of dementia. So that's a little bit about me at the just at the beginning. But the most question I get asked is, what is dementia, and what's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? For some unknown reason, people seem to think it's a different disease. The difference between dementia and Alzheimer's is there isn't. Dementia is the umbrella term. So underneath the umbrella term of dementia, you have Alzheimer's, you have Lewy bodies, you have Pick's disease, Terry-Pratchett, vascular, frontal lobal, and many, many more. There are so many, many more. Far too many to mention. But what they are, they're all types of dementia. Just the same as you've got cancer of the lungs, cancer of the heart, cancer of the blood. You know, it's still cancer, but it's different types of cancer. Dementia is the same. They're all different types of, but dementia is the umbrella term. Now, how do you explain dementia is what people always say to me. And the easiest way I explain it is, if you can imagine a Christmas tree that's absolutely adorned with lights, and every one of those lights you see on that Christmas tree is a memory, except every now and again, one of those lights goes out, and then another, and then another, until the last light that goes out is the memory that reminds you how to breathe. Please remember, dementia is terminal. Dementia is terminal. There is no known cure. But here at the Purple Angel, we live by two words. We live by inclusion and engagement. And if you include people with dementia, and you engage people with dementia, every now and again, one of those lights that we've just been talking about comes back on. And it's the most wonderful, wonderful feeling as a person who lives with dementia. When you forgot your granddaughter's name or your grandson's name, or where you put your ticket for the next gig you're going to, and then you suddenly find it, it's the most exciting feeling. Then that's what it's like. You know what? We need to be included and engaged. And I'll give you a perfect example. And I hope you can hear this. There was once a lady living in a care home, and all she did all day was this. Now, as carers, I don't care how patient you are, eventually that would get on your nerves. That would grind, as we call it. Until one day somebody actually went up to that lady and said, "Can I ask you, why do you do all that? Why do you do that all day non-stop?" And do you know why she did it? Because during the war, she was a Morse code decoder, and she was getting her boys and girls home safe. I know. I've been telling that same story 10 years now, and the hairs still stand on the back of my neck, and they have done now. That lady went from zero to hero overnight. People wanted to know what she did, where she lived, what the job was like. Because before they only saw the dementia, they only saw the illness, they didn't see the actual dementia itself. There are lots and lots of explanations, there's lots of circumstances I could tell you about like that. Getting onto dementia, people always say, well, how do you explain the different types? Well, I'm only a layperson, as I said, I have this disease myself. Alzheimer's, it's like a loop. Your brain's on a loop. So as your brain, thoughts go round and round, they keep repeating themselves. So when you get asked, and I'm sure you have in your job, when you get asked time and time and time again, the same question over and over and over, and as annoying as it is, and as irritating it is, you must please remember that is the very first time they've asked that question. They have no memory whatsoever of asking it the time before, or 10 times, or 20 times before. That is the very, very first time they actually asked that question. And that's what Alzheimer's is like. Your brain's on a loop. So it resets every so often and has no memory of what's just gone on prior. And that's the reason why repetitiveness. Lewy bodies, which I have, is a totally different beast, totally different disease. I cannot say it's worse than any other because I think they're all just as bad, if I'm honest. But Lewy bodies means that there are people with Lewy bodies, and also with Alzheimer's and other dementias, that can talk to you guys like this, you know, that can hold a perfectly conversation, but they suffer very, very badly from sundowning. If you're not quite sure what sundowning is, I presume you do, because I don't really want to teach my grandma to suck eggs, you know, because I know what a great job you guys do. But if you don't, Google it. And basically, it's what it says on the tin. As the sun goes down, the people with dementia get worse. So I'll give you an example of myself. I'm here now, 1:30 in the afternoon, on Friday, I think it's the 6th of April, 2018, talking to you like this. But I can't do this at 7 o'clock tonight. By 7 o'clock tonight, apparently, because I don't remember much about it, I start to fidget and I start to get restless. By 8 o'clock tonight, I want to go home. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you heard people say, I want to go home? As a person with dementia, I have a bit of an explanation on that, but it's in my humble opinion only. When I say I want to go home, do I mean to my hometown? Well, I live in Torquay and I've lived here 21 years nearly now. And my hometown is Bolton, Lancashire. And I couldn't imagine living anywhere else but Torquay. So it's certainly not that. Do I mean my spiritual home? No, I was born a Roman Catholic, but when you're forced to go to church for so many years, you do tend to question it. And I have not been a church goer for many years now, or a believer. But that's just me being honest. So what do I mean? When I'm going home, what I mean is when Elaine, my wife, comes over to me and puts a hand on my arm or on my shoulder and asks me, am I okay? Or calms me down. I think that's where my home is. That's what calms me down. That's what settles me. I think it's just a case of being reassured, if I'm very, very honest. Because I think people, no matter how late they are with dementia, in dementia, that they know somewhere deep down that they're very, very poorly and there's no cure, and they just want that reassurance. So that's my explanation for, excuse me, you can tell it's live, can't you? That's my explanation for feeling that wants to go home. By 9 o'clock, I'm in bed usually most nights, between 8 and 9, most nights, but I suffer terribly from hallucinations and night terrors. Can I just please say that hallucinations are not night terrors? Night terrors are not just nightmares. Hallucinations is when I actually get up out of bed, my eyes are wide awake and I see people in the room, in the bedroom. I chase people around the house. I fight with people. It's like shadow boxing. I see some horrible sights, worse than any horror or any X-movie you've ever seen. I try to save babies and children drowning in wells, people being knocked down, things like that. I come from I don't come from, but we have a very large family, and I have lots and lots of grandchildren, I'm pleased to say. And I think it's because the majority of my night terrors and my hallucinations are connected with children. I think that's because we have so many grandchildren, and I think deep down I'm petrified of leaving them on their own. And even though I know they'll be fine, I'm just scared of leaving them on their own. But I suffer from hallucinations horrifically and night terrors, but they are not nightmares and they're not dreams. They are totally different. So that's Lewy bodies. Vascular is another type of bees. Vascular is where people have maybe had heart problems and they've had problems having oxygen to the brain, and the brain cells have died. And frontal lobal is very, very similar. So you see there's lots and lots of different types of dementia. There's about 5 main types, but I do believe there's maybe 100, 200, 300 different types. But you will be surprised how many people don't know, because as soon as you mention dementia, they say Alzheimer's straight away. They don't think of Lewy bodies or Pick's disease or Korsakoff's and so on and so on. So I think we need to educate people that there are different types. Why haven't we found a cure yet? I also have a theory on this. I think because everybody is different. There's a saying within the dementia fraternity that says, once you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia, because we're all so very different. And there are people like myself who's been living with 10 years. I know people around the world that's been living with it for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years and more. So even though what you guys do, you usually see people near the end of life or when they're in mid to late stages, there are so many people out there living with dementia. I will not say living well, because I don't believe in that. I don't believe you can live well with terminal disease. But that's my personal opinion. But there are so many people out there that live with dementia and do so much good work, far more than me. Now, the Purple Angel came about because I created the Torbay Dementia Action Alliance, which ran for a couple of years, and then we became so big, we became the Purple Angel Dementia Awareness Campaign. At the very beginning, we did get mixed up with some big other dementia charities, like the Alzheimer's Society, Dementia UK, and so on. But we are not, or never been, the Society or Dementia UK. We are totally standalone, but we'll work with anybody. Hence, I do these videos for free, and everything we do at the Purple Angel is also for free. Because even though we've been going 4 years now, we are actually recognised in 65 countries around the world. And we have over 850 Purple Angel ambassadors globally. And everybody, including myself and the steering group to this, has never been paid a penny. We have never been paid a penny. We have never applied for grants. We have never applied for funding. We rely totally on public funding. And the reason why we do it is because, and the reason why I have so many ambassadors all over the world, and the reason why we think it works so well, is because if we raise money here in Devon, that money stays in Devon. If my ambassador raised money, if I had an ambassador in Maidenhead, they raised money for the Purple Angel people with dementia, it would stay in Maidenhead. And so on. In New York, Las Vegas, Australia, Canada, Italy, whatever money they raise in those cities stays in that city. And that's the difference between us and other dementia charities. Because a lot of dementia charities, it goes to a central office and a central pot. And then they decide where it gets spent, and sometimes people miss out. So 4 years ago, we became the Purple Angel. And the reason why we became the Purple Angel was because I wanted a logo for the Torbay Dementia Action Alliance, because everybody has a logo. And my friend Jane Moore, and co-founder, sent me a little drawing that had been hand-drawn of a purple angel. And I said, what's all that about? And she said, well, the reason it's purple is because, holistically, it's a healing colour, allegedly. I love science, I'm not really into holistic things, but it's a healing colour, allegedly. And the reason why she made it into an angel is because I've written 5 or 6 books on dementia, and on every book I've called my wife Elaine my angel, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here now. Now, she's a carer, professional carer, just like yourselves, and she was doing it for 35 years. Like yourselves, exactly like you, what she doesn't know is not worth knowing. It's what I call real people, real people like yourselves. So that's when the Purple Angel came about. And I said within 4 years, we're now recognised in 65 countries, and we have 850 ambassadors all around the world. It's been an incredible story and keeps on growing. But the reason why is because the materials that we've made and the booklets that we've made, which are free as well, also free. I will be sending Kelly the links to these so you can download them, have been written by people like you. It's not been written by the psychiatrist, the doctors, the gods, consultants, but it's been people like you who do this 24/7, both paid and unpaid carers, people who know what they're talking about, people who they should be listening to, which is you guys, without a shadow of a doubt. So the reason why we think it's become so successful is because it's a good, honest booklet, and it tells the truth. Now, if you go to YouTube and put my name in, and you put in telling the truth about dementia, or time to tell the truth about dementia, you will see 5 or 6 YouTube clips, just like this, but a lot shorter. Because I believe that, I really, really do believe that we've done so well in the last 10 years. We've come on leaps and bounds. We've got TV, we've got adverts, we've got radio, we've got stars on board. But what we haven't got really is people telling the truth about dementia, about telling what it's like behind closed doors, about how people become incontinent, how they're having hallucinations like I do, how they're kicking the door down, how the carers are sat there pulling their hair out in tears because they don't know what to do or where to go. This needs to be told. This needs to be told in public, and needs to make sure not to frighten people. Just like you watch your own TV at home, you can turn it off. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. But it's not there to frighten people. It's there to get people grounded and make sure they know what's ahead of them, possibly. Not everybody has hallucinations. Not everybody has night terrors. But when it happens, it's absolutely awful. I'll give you a perfect example of living with this disease. I was in Barnstaple, and I was having a coffee with my wife. My wife went to get a coffee. I looked across where the lift was, and the lift doors opened. And who come walking towards me? Me. Yeah, you heard right. Me. Booted and suited. Me, walking towards me. I started shouting and screaming. My wife came over. She's trying to calm me down. There was no talking to me. And I watched me, allegedly, walk all the way out and walk out the door and down the street as far as I can see. To this day, I was convinced that was me. Later on, when I calmed down, because the worst thing you can do, as you know, with a person with dementia, contradict them. Later on, when I calmed down, my wife said, Norrms, it looked nothing like you. But it did to me. It did to me. That's the thing. And the other example I always give when doing presentations like this is, I always remember being sat in my front room and I saw these rabbits suddenly appear and run about. Now, if you know my wife, Elaine, as well as I do, you know she's so house-proud, so house-proud. She'd nowhere would she have any live rabbits in that front room on that carpet. It's as simple as that. So I just sat there and said, Elaine, why have we got rabbits in the front room? And because she's 35 years as a carer, she quite simply turned around distraction techniques and turned around and said, hang on a minute, we'll move them out. And she opened the doors and shooed them out. Shut the doors, problem solved. Distraction techniques. But I always say it's not always quite what it seems. Because fast forward that 3 months later, and I'm sat in front of 600 care workers at a big event. And as I'm talking, I looked down, I saw this rabbit hop in front of me. And it sat facing me, looking me in the eye. I looked at the rabbit looked at me. I looked at the rabbit. And just in the corner of my eye, I looked across and I saw Elaine. And she saw the panic in my face. And she looked at me and said, I can see it too. Yeah. Or what it, or what it was pet therapy. A rabbit had escaped from pet therapy and hopped on. So you see, you never ever know what can happen in these situations. You know, there are funny sides to it. We always say you should laugh with somebody with dementia and not at them. And one of the reasons why I said earlier on about living with dementia, not living well with dementia, is I lost my grandmother and I lost my father to this awful disease. I've read the book, I've read the last page, I've read the last line. I know what's going to happen to me unless they find a cure. And at this moment in time, I do know there is no known cure. Please don't read everything you read. Don't believe everything you read in the Daily Mail. Red wine can cure dementia. I wish. Beer is bad for you. Well, we've always known that, but there you go. You know, it's a load of rubbish. And unless the British Medical Institute come out and say, officially, they found a cure for disease, for dementia, do not believe it. Because there's nothing worse than false hope. It's as simple as that. So all these things you've got to remember. We once did a tour, or we called it a tour. We once did about 5 or 6 different locations when I was well enough around the country. And what it was a guy, believe it or not, by people called the funeral partners. There might even be one in Maidenhead, in fact, I'm sure there is. And what it was, the funeral directors were having problems with people who had dementia, but they were being left behind by the partners who didn't have. So when they actually got to the funeral, they were sat there and saying to the funeral director, "Who's in the coffin?" Excuse me, "Who's in the coffin?" And they didn't know what to say, because the worst thing you could say is, "Oh, it's your wife or your husband." Because if you go back to that time, what we talked about when the mind's on a loop, then they've never heard that before. Can you imagine being told that for the first time, that your wife's died or your husband's died or your loved one's died? How upsetting that would be. Just cast your mind back to when you got first told somebody very close had died and how upset you were. Can you imagine being told that time and time and time again? It is not fair. It should not be done, the same as it shouldn't be done when you hear in certain places when they say, they ask for the mum or the dad, they're quite clearly in the 90s, and you hear people say, "Don't be daft. How can your mum's alive, your mum's dead, you're 95 yourself." That might be the first time they hear that. Nobody has the right to do that. Again, it's distraction techniques. Again, it's turning around and saying, "I don't know, who was in the coffin, do you know?" "Oh, no, I have no idea, but do you know this? Do you know this hymn?" "Yeah, we'll have a sing song and we'll take it from there." And hopefully within a while, they've forgotten what they've said to you in the first place. At the Purple Angel, it's all about common sense. You can keep your big words, you can keep your long explanations, you can keep your booklets that's 500 pages thick. You know? No. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it logical, and keep it informative. And that's what we do at the Purple Angel. And as I was saying, the living well with dementia, I watched the torment that my mother went through. And I know this won't go down well in some circles, but I know the torment that my mother went through when she was bedridden. I know my father, who was crying, screaming for his mum. He had bed sores. Don't tell me. Don't tell me that's living well with dementia. And please don't ever be frightened of using the word suffering with dementia, because people in late stages suffer. Do not let the hierarchy, do not let the politically correct, and do not let the government say, "Oh, you shouldn't use that." So do people not suffer from cancer or leukemia? Or should we just chuck the word out altogether? Yeah, I live with dementia. I don't live well with it because I have hallucinations, I have night terrors, and I suffer from sundowning. But I live with it. But please don't say I live well with it, because they have the moments, and that's not living well as a person would do. And people who are in late stages, who are crying for the mother, who want to go home, who are frightened, who are confused, you can't tell me they're not suffering. They're not suffering. So that's about it for me, you'd be pleased to know. What I'd like to close on is people with dementia sometimes can really, really think on their feet and really quickly. So don't always take it for granted that we can't. I once went into hospital, I had a cancer scare, and I went into hospital. And the nurse behind me, it was a walk-in test, and the clinicians were there ready to operate. And I walked in, and the girl behind me said, "Oh, this is Norrms, and he's got," yeah, behind me back. And I heard her say, it's like if she said it, she'd catch it. It's unbelievable. Thankfully, hopefully, we've got past them stages. So I turned around and said, "Excuse me, did you just say that I've got dementia? Why didn't you just say he's got it?" She went bright red. All the operators and all the clinicians just fell a bit laughing and went, "Oh, well done, Norrms." You know, because you can't do that these days. It's so embarrassing. I was quick to notice that, and people with dementia can't be quick on the feet. One example now, before I go, I'll just tell you is, because the Global Purple Angel is in 65 countries, we have 800 ambassadors all over the world. You can imagine I speak to different countries in the world many times a week, many times a day. I suddenly got here one morning and I'd forgot my password. Yeah, I'd forgotten it. Can you imagine? Talk about the world dropping out. I was at the bottom dropping out my world. One or two. Well, I was absolutely devastated and I didn't know what to do. So I thought, I've got to think of a password that I can use now, that I will never, ever, ever forget. And I thought of one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you that password for future reference, because one, I don't bank online. And two, I've no money anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. So the word I use now for all my internet is, as a password, is incorrect. Has the penny dropped? The reason being is because every time I forget my password now, my computer says to me, "Your password is incorrect." See? Down there for dancing, up there for thinking. Guys, and Kelly and the manager of Larchfield House, thank you so much for asking me. If you want to become a Purple Angel ambassador, we would welcome you with open arms. Please email me on Norrms, that's NORRMS, @gmail.com. 2 I's in Norrms, please. So that's Norrms, @gmail.com. I will send the links for the website, and I will also send you all the booklets. We would love you to become Purple Angel ambassadors. Most of all, we would love to award Larchfield House with Purple Angel Dementia accreditation, which means you will get your certificates, and the actual house will get a certificate as well. And we will do that with pleasure for free. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. And I always say, if you've enjoyed what I've said, my name's Norrms. If you haven't, my name's Jamie Hunt. That's no long story, but we'll do that another time. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And if you know anybody else who wants this or would benefit from this video, please share it. That's why it's on YouTube. It's to be shared. We're always happy to help. Guys, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. See you all soon, I hope. Bye.